So, welcome to the Right Here, Right Now live show. We will see you after this introduction. Hi there. Welcome to the Right Here, Right Now live show. This show has one simple question. What's on your heart and mind right here, right now in this moment? We explore the depths and breadths of our humanity through that one simple question over the course of 30 to 45 minutes. I hope that you'll join us. I hope you'll enjoy the exploration. And this tune was created for me personally by the incredible Peter Griffiths, one half of the amazing Mind Takeaway. Do let us know what you think. Let us know what you take away. And of course, we always welcome challenges too. Hope to see you on the exploration. Welcome back. Welcome everyone. If you're live with us on LinkedIn, Facebook or YouTube, thank you for joining us. If you're watching this back, I hope you're safe and well. But most importantly, I am beyond excited to have the incredible human being that is Sahana with me on the live show this evening, your time. Welcome to the show, Sahana. How are you?
Thank you, Gary. Thank you for creating the space, for the generous and kind introduction, and for holding the space for such dialogues. So thank you, and I'm incredibly grateful that you've invited me for us to see where this conversation takes us, for what emerges in the midst of all of this that's happening all around us. So I'm grateful and thank you.
No, thank you so much. And I have to put a quick shout out to our mutual friend, Sam Suppiah, as well. I would not know your amazing work if it was not for Sam. So thank you, Sam, as well. So as we go exploring today, so there is that one simple, but sometimes complex question. If you don't mind me asking, Sahana, what is on your heart and mind right here, right now, in this moment?
Wow, that's an incredibly important and relevant, not easy to answer question. So I guess multiple things, Gary, multiple things. But if I were to synthesize all of that into one line and then sort of, unravel out that strands, I would say that one line is, we have reached this stage, and I can only call it falling apart. The center cannot hold. The poet said it 100 years ago. We have reached this stage primarily because of a dominator culture across thousands of years. A dominator culture that has wanted to control, command, take charge, manipulate, maneuver, and not consider the living planet that we live on, that is our only home, as a living being that all sentient beings have a right to, and not only human beings. So I guess this entire need to dominate that has come down for centuries, and that has now, I would say, eclipsed everything else, has brought us to this brink of disaster that we are standing on today. Ecological crisis, the pandemic, countries and nations falling apart, literally falling apart. Afghanistan is the latest example, the latest victim. And it's very difficult to envisage and dream of a regenerative future sitting in the midst of this chaos. However, having said that, I think the chaos is also a precursor towards a better future. And maybe I'm idealistic, I'm hopeful for sure, and I still believe there is plenty of beauty, grace, and dignity on this planet. If we can bring all of that together, we can definitely step forth into a very different possible futures, regenerative futures. So that was actually a longish answer, not a one line, but yeah. You're on mute, Gary, I can't hear you. Hello, I can't hear you. No, I'm sorry. Okay. You can post your, but you're in, I can't hear you. I don't know if others can. I'm sorry. If you want to put your question on the chat and then sort of see if something's. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? No, well, I can't hear you. That's, wow. Yeah, the emergent universe is really playing tricks today with technology. Wow, this is strange. Oh, wow. You've suddenly gone like silent for me.
Ah, can you hear me now,
Ah,
Sahana?
yes, yes. Oh boy.
So here is emergence, real life emergence, having to navigate
Absolutely.
the chaos of what's going on, which is normally Gary's world. So, Shahada, thank you for bearing with me. I'm not quite sure what happened there, but I'd love to come back. And again, thank you, Elise, for joining us from South Africa. I'll just pop her up on the screen. So Elise is a regular follower of the show, Shahana. So
Hi, Elise.
from South Africa. So thanks for joining us. So what came up for me very powerfully as you shared your introduction around, there's almost this very challenging intersection where a lot of things are dying, whether it be structures, whether it be countries, whether it be belief systems. And there's this real opportunity to reimagine, but I get the sense there seems to be like a pendulum swing between the amount of fear that's in play versus the willingness and vulnerability to let go of that fear. And it seems, I feel like we're in this swaying pendulum between those vulnerability and fear. And I wonder if that resonates with you and what the opportunity may be or otherwise in that pendulum right now, Shahana.
Yeah, and Gary, exactly. Pendulum is a perfect metaphor for this liminal space that we find ourselves in. And we know that one world is time. We cognitively know that, it's not going to come back, and we don't want it to come back. We don't want it to come back. And the other world is yet to be born. And we are in this, literally the space between stories, the old narratives that have sustained the civilization for at least a few thousands of years, have collapsed. They are no longer valid. They are obsolete in this era of the globalization, digitization, and whatever else that comes with it. We cannot deny technology anymore. But having said that, and seeing the collapse around us, the collapse of, like you said, the belief systems, countries, nations, structures, leaders, I think we are kind of right now existing in that space of nothingness, of not knowing, of uncertainty. And I kind of feel it's like, if you see a trapeze artist, they have to let go of the trapeze to leap and take hold of the new, of the other one. And we are not letting ourselves let go because of the fear of falling and failing. So now we find ourselves literally neither falling or failing, but flailing in the chaos. But and I guess also the power structures are being held in place. The status quo is being held in place by the powers that be because it still suits them. What is, I would say, missing or happening, not really missing, it's really happening globally, is a rise in consciousness. It is becoming evident. Wherever I can see these pockets of movements. Okay, if we zero in, they seem like disparate movements. Extinction Rebellion here, farmers protest there, democracy for Myanmar somewhere else. But if you zoom out, these movements are actually, to me at least, they speak of new voices, rising of new stories, civilizational narratives that are not being crafted and created and written by a handful of, forgive me, but by a handful of European white men to be imposed on the rest of the planet. These are threads of narratives rising from across the globe, from the margins, from voices that have been for centuries delegitimized deliberately unheard, unseen, and unacknowledged. So now those voices in different pockets of the planet are coming together. They are students, they are farmers, they are housewives, they are Muslim women in India protesting against the NRC, the citizenship rights. They are everywhere. The disparate movements, like Paul Hawkins wrote so precisely many, many years ago, are not led by a male vertebrate in charge. They are rising from the grassroots, and they bear the seeds, I believe strongly, of a very different future. Not a hegemonic single story, but a pluriversal future of pluriversal narratives, different narratives coalescing, coming together to be woven together into a very, very different, how should I say, a very different living, thriving narrative that does not impose on anyone, that let every sentient life live on this planet with dignity and respect and honor.
It's my whole upper body is reacting, really energetically. It is totally reacting because I can feel what you're summarizing, Sahana. I can feel it in my body, and I really want to invite people watching us or maybe watching this back on a recording to please check out your link tree. You can see it at the bottom of the screen here, because what I really respect and I really love about your work, Sahana, and what you're bringing to us is it's really a beautiful invitation to imagine our wholeness as human beings, not just the job title, not just a parent, not just a community activist, but like the whole human being that every single one of us can step into, or maybe not step into, but remember maybe is a better word, Sahana.
Yeah. I totally resonate with that, Gary. Just a while back, I was kind of, doing a little bit of my own reflection, and a few things, or rather a few words about our current civilizational culture. And it's not restricted to any specific country. I think this culture has taken hold of the planet, of the human parts of the planet at least. And the culture is kind of driven by, some of the words that came up as I was reflecting was scarcity, over, overdose of individualism, a perfectionism, a drive for constant productivity for what we don't know, a kind of conformity. And there is this constant fear of falling behind, of not measuring up, of not being enough, of lack within and without. So if I'm constantly driven by fear and lack and materialism and on top of that a kind of a self-righteous rage, I'm not going to be able to create a society or a community or an organization or a planet that is driven or that is founded on compassion and courage and radical tenderness and self-love. And it's not going to happen. They are diametrically opposite value systems. So for centuries, we've been driven by value systems that have driven fear into our very being. Right from childhood, we've been told to not overstep our boundaries, not. So the whole exploratory nature of our innate humanity is lost to us. And, like Mary Sarton says, we go around life wearing different masks. And it takes years and years and years to peel off those masks and find out who I really am. And what you said really resonated with me, that we have become so detached, so separated from our own self. How can we not be separated from others, from other sentient beings? If I'm separated from myself, I can't be connected with you or anything else.
Yeah, it's really resonating with me because as Sam knows, as many know that my story, Sahana, I myself was disconnected to myself until 5 years ago. And what did that look like for those that are watching this live or back? Was I was on that Western track that I'd been taught: get the grades, get the job title, make money, retire, and then die. Nothing to do with nature. Nothing to do with the interconnection between other human beings. Like every part of my first 39 years on the planet was that Western track. And what was strange for me, Sahana, was it took me having everything that I'd been taught. I had to have it all to realize it meant nothing.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I had everything the outside world had educated me mattered. And when I finally achieved all of that, I felt empty, completely hollow. Spiritually bankrupt is the phrase I've used before.
Yeah. Because we trade belonging for fitting in. And we try to fit in by eliminating parts of ourselves, rather than, like you started out by saying, by being the whole person we are. Each unique, individual, beautiful, whole person. But to fit in, we let go of parts of ourselves. And then when we can't find ourselves, we are like, where am I? What happened to me? What am I doing here? How did I arrive here? So it's almost like a contradiction. Individualism is based so much on being self-dependent and this false notion of courage, that we've forgotten that interdependence does not mean helplessness. We confuse interdependence and seeking help with a feeling of helplessness, which is victimhood. But seeking help is innately human. It's innately, all living systems help each other. Plants help each other, trees help each other. They have underground networks, mycorrhizal networks to help the saplings. The mother trees help the saplings. We know that scientifically now. Yet, as individual human beings, we are so scared of being vulnerable and authentic and asking for help because we'll be perceived as weak. And that is such a dominator culture thing that even in our culture, and I don't think it's only restricted to the West now, it's everywhere. We have a disdain for people who are differently abled, who are physically perceived to be weaker than us, or who have not materially succeeded in life the way we think everyone should. So that the whole thing is messed up. It's traumatizing to live in a world constantly asking of you to be perfect and strong, and I don't know what it is.
It's so I'd love to hear a little bit. The thing about these beautiful flowing conversations, even though I lost 2 minutes with my technology, which I apologize for, I'd love for you to let people know that are watching live or may watch this back, Sahana, what is the work that you can, or what's the support that you can offer, you yourself, you as part of Possible Futures with Sam and other parts of your networks? What is the work that you're involved in to help people maybe remember themselves, their organizations, their communities? Would you mind explaining a little bit for people the work that you offer?
Sure. So I spent a large part of my corporate career in corporates, in organizations, almost 20, close to 20 years. And I was in the learning and development and organization development space, which gave me an opportunity to work at the intersection of technology, human potential, organizational learning, and overall the organizational culture and leadership. But having traversed that, and it was a fabulous journey. I traveled the world. I worked with some fabulous people, wonderful organizations. But having traversed that path, I also know that profit-seeking, command and control organizations are not my space. So when I stepped out of that space, that entire organizational, ethos, the current ethos, one of the things that kept working on me rather than me working on it, that kept really working on me and kept kind of, pulling my attention over the years, and it's been almost 5 years now since I've traversed this path, a different path, is how can organizations become places of healing, of communities, intentional communities, doing purposeful work in the world, and not merely driven by profit, productivity, power, and stakeholder values or shareholder values, whatever it is. How can we shift from those paradigms to creating, co-creating, reimagining organizations that are really ecosystems, living systems? And that is the kind of work I do. I talk about that. I write about that. I talk about qualities and write about qualities of leadership needed for an uncertain, ambiguous, emergent future, of leaders as facilitators who can hold space for the future to emerge, to manifest, and organizations who can become those ecosystems. I see organizations as microcosms of the society outside. So if organizations start reflecting the quote unquote the possible futures in different ways, I believe that can have a huge impact, because organizations are naturally set up to bring people together towards certain defined purpose. Except that over the years, profit has have kind of superseded purpose. So can we go back? Can we go back to the initial intentional evolutionary purpose and co-create organizations, co-create the paradigms of leadership from that space? So that is my work, coaching and facilitation, writing and speaking about these topics, and holding space for dialogues.
It's beautiful. So I still working a corporation myself, a global corporation, and one that is deeply extractive chemicals, and it's really interesting because I find myself at an embodied level, Shahana, it's that tension I think that we feel in the rest of the world between knowing that the industry of which I'm part is a degenerating and dying industry as is,
Yeah.
yet knowing that there's a lot of very good, well-meaning people that want to see change. But if you don't have the communities that you're describing, if those people don't know where each other are, it's quite difficult to try and build the energy towards positive change. So what I'm working on at the moment is how can we try and identify who those different people are that really want to find and turn what could be a very, it's a very outdated industry, both in how it's led, but also the products that it extracts. And what could it look like to, as you say, completely reimagine a not just an organization, but a system that is truly self-managed and self-organized, maybe around the commons even. Like, so this is my crazy idea, Shahana, at the moment, is if you took all of the chemical raw materials that exist today, they are extractive, they're not sustainable, they're not regenerative, but even as a step towards what the future may be, what if you took those materials out of the hands of 20 corporations globally and put them into the commons somewhere for everybody globally to leverage as we move towards whatever the future looks like?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've written about this like years before, and I keep talking about it, that organizations need to become ecosystems, become communities, not rigid structures. And one of the things the pandemic showed us is the structures broken. You don't go to a workplace anymore. Work has now become a network of tools. I mean, my work is spread over Mural and Trello and Miro and whiteboards and Zoom and wherever else. So it's a network of tools between a network or communities of people. And I like to say that multinational corporations are now becoming multimodal, multi-network corporations. So in the spirit of network as living systems, can we not reimagine organizations as those living systems, dynamically moving and restructuring and sort of, coming together to do work that matters to this planet, that really, really matters, not the shareholder profits, which, I don't know, no one in the morning gets up thinking, oh, I'll make more profit for the shareholder. No one cares. Yeah. But that really matters to this planet. And I think when leaders like you speak about the extractive nature and admit it and reimagine or express the desire to reimagine the whole sector, that has such a powerful impact. So can these multi-network organizations become truly networks of living systems?
Wow, what a powerful ad, Shahana. And what's so beautiful, like, what's popping up for me now, actually, as we journey together today, is it just popped back up how you started this exploration beautifully, which is we're now starting to hear the voices that have been quiet for many, many generations. Yet those voices, and this just popped up right now in the moment, it's almost self-organization, like nature, as a brilliant example. You're getting these pockets of seemingly disparate sort of voices popping up, but clearly that's nature, that's self-organization happening, I guess, as live.
And if I were to imagine the organization today, it's no longer this massive brick and mortar glass fronted building. It's no longer that. Pandemic has taken care of that, at least in most cases. And people who are being forced to step out and work are truly the people who are holding up society, the the grocery store clerks, the nurses, the doctors, the street cleaners, people who are the least paid, least appreciated, most needed, without whom not a city can function. Yet we will pay someone 100 times, 1,000 times more to, I don't know, lead an extractive economy, but we will not appreciate the value we get from doing work. And I think that dynamic is now shifted or shifting with the onset of the pandemic and the office built, the structure of workplace and kind of collapsing. You now have these disparate networks of people distributed anywhere, coming together to complete projects. And now the power lies in that network, not in the project per se right now, but in those networks to become communities who can completely reimagine a new self-organized, evolving or emergent organizational being that is driven by a purpose that is not centered on the CEO, not coming from 3 top men, but that is emerging as they work together. The evolutionary purpose that, Frederick Laloux wrote about.
It's so beautiful, and what I also feel as you explain that, Sahana, for me is the true potentiality of it's the voice, which is critically important, that we hear everybody's voice, no matter where they are in the system, where they live in the world, no matter what their role is. But I'm a bit of an optimist. I'm becoming increasingly pragmatic as well, but I really feel we're at the edge. I feel that we're at the edge. We talk about Moore's law with the technological curve over the last 20 years. I don't know about you, but I feel like we could hit a similar spike in human potential. I really think I think it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think and that is something I feel, that how we look at technology, and I keep talking, thinking about the space travel. I mean, that's techno-fantasy for the rich. It's verging on techno-lunacy, maybe. I don't much care. But can we really look at technology as, like these connector strands in a network? Can technology become that facilitated connector strands in a network of sentient beings spread over the globe, working in service of life, not only human beings, but put to work in service of life to make life-affirming decisions, to help leaders. And I still believe that we need visionaries who can look towards the future and hold the present moment. So I call them leaders, not the one with power and control, but visionaries who can look to the future and who can really hold the space for that to emerge. Can we have technology that facilitates that? That is in service of life, that is in service of such leadership, that is in service of all sentient beings. And that takes away the power from the hands of a few and redistributes it to the margins so that all voices can be integrated. I know I'm a super idealist, but that's who I am.
I love it, and I think I'd love also to hold space for a second as well for anyone that might be listening to this, going, "Wow, this seems big. This seems like, what's my role in this?" What would you say to that person if they're sitting here going, "This is all. I'll leave that to Sahana and somebody else. It's way too big for me." What's your invitation to every single person that might watch this at some point, Sahana?
That's such a great question, Gary, because so when I was writing all of this in the morning, and honestly, I scared the shit out of myself after I wrote it, because I'm like, where do I start? Who am I? What is my role? What am I supposed to do? It's come through me. It's not mine to do. So what is mine to do? And then as I was scribbling, 3 questions popped up actually. And I'm trying to answer those questions. Even now, I'm kind of working on those, or letting the questions work on me. So 3 questions popped up. what is mine to do, what makes my heart sing, what does the world need. And as I'm trying to sort of let the questions work on me, I'm finding my own path, literally, like one step at a time. And I didn't know 5 years back that I would be writing, or I would be talking to you or Sam, or I didn't know. I've just literally taken every one breadcrumb step at a time. So I don't know. But all I know is that holding that intention, holding on to that intention and the vision, that no matter what, there is a more beautiful world is possible. It is there, no matter what. And we don't give in to the egos and the powers and the profit makers. We don't give in. So just holding on to that intention, I think, has been guiding me. But I didn't have a path laid out to where I am today. It's literally one breadcrumb at a time.
Thank you for sharing that. You've really helped me today, because that the number of times I leave a message for Sam going, like, this is a way too big. Like the who am I question is the one I have the most. That fear-based, like, who am I? How do I fit in? But as you say, I've really found the last 10 months in particular, there's something about a combination, Sahana, for me, and I love your thoughts on this as we start to wrap up, is time and time again, as I've had these beautiful in-the-moment explorations, there are two key themes that keep coming up. Play, which I also like, experimentation, play, however you want to look at that side of our sort of experience of life. And the other is connection and compassion and love. These two areas just keep coming up time and time and time again. And I'm wondering how that sits with you or otherwise.
Absolutely. And what you term play, I guess, I just use the word exploration. And in fact, I've heard about your work a little bit from Sam, and I've seen your posts, and I've seen the dialogue spaces that you hold. I've heard them. And when I was writing today's our conversation on LinkedIn, the first word that popped up in my mind about you was explorer. And that's what I wrote. So for me, this whole willingness to let go of known outcome, because that's what the old paradigm taught us. You must have a project plan, the duration, what will be the outcome, and go for the outcome no matter what, and no matter who you have to bulldoze over. Doesn't matter. Outcome is the most important. Whereas exploration is a journey that takes you across different terrains, and you don't know the outcome. So you kind of navigate the terrain, not because you have a map. Exploration doesn't have a map. You have a compass. And that inner compass is this intention that is guiding you and sort of, which is helping you to take one step at a time. So exploration requires play, which we've forgotten to, as children we played because society had not yet conditioned us to this extent. But play and exploration are prerequisites for us to even reimagine. Because I can't reimagine if I'm not allowing myself to let go of the preconditions. Only when I let go of the old paradigms can I reimagine the new or completely unknown. And okay, it has never happened before, so what? Okay, an organization, multinationals have existed, but what is a multi-network, multimodal organizations? I don't know, but so what? Can we not have those in the age of technology and intention? So I think this whole notion of play and exploration and to be guided by our inner compass is a prerequisite, absolute prerequisite to step into emergence. And you also spoke about, what did you speak about?
Compassion and connection. Yeah.
Oh, yes. And I think that comes with, if I don't have compassion for myself, if I'm going to judge my every move, I'm not playing. I'm not exploring. So compassion, I believe, and this has been a very tough learning for me, conditioned as we are towards being effective and productive and role modeling, and I don't know what else, oppressive forces. So compassion begins with, I would say, radical self-compassion. Radical, literally radical. So every time I feel this nudge to sort of, oh my God, who am I? Or oh my God, that's I haven't written for a month. Oh my! So every time I'm judging myself, can I step back into self-compassion? And once, and this is been a very tough learning for me. Every time I do that, I realize my ability to connect with others becomes stronger. They're interlinked. So my ability to listen to others, connect with others, just be, just without judging, without bias, without fixing, without advising, without instructing, without anything, just be, becomes stronger. So I would say these are prerequisites to journey into uncertainty, emergence, and just to play in this liminal space with intention.
I'm almost emotional, Sahana, listening to you talk. Honestly, like it's just so. I just really want people to. The reason I feel quite emotional as you share this is we all have this within us. Like, this is not something we need to buy off the shelf. It's not something we need to get from Amazon. It's not something you need anybody to give you. It's already in us.
It's in us. It's just under so many layers of conditioning that just peeling off those conditions, the preconditions and old layers, take so much of, I don't know, just again compassion for the self. Radical compassion.
It's beautiful. I've taken too much of your time already, and it's late in your evening, Sahana, but honestly, it's just stunning. Please, if you're watching live, or you have joined us, thank you. If you're watching this back, please do check out Sahana's work at her Linktree. You can see it on the bottom of the screen. This conversation, this exploration, it can feel alien if you're so used to just hitting the numbers, chasing the money, the dying paradigm. There's no judgment in what I'm about to say, but please start getting curious, because this is the now. It's not even the future for me. This is the now. There's people like Sahana out there to help you do this journey. Check her out, connect with her, follow her work. Her writing's incredible, by the way, Sahana. Thank you for all you're doing. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And if I can connect you to anybody else, again, we spoke about Sam Suppiah already. There's a lot of people out there that are ready to help you on your journey. If you're feeling a bit afraid or this feels very new, my invitation is get curious about that. Don't suppress it. Get curious about it, and I think you'll really enjoy what's on the other side. Would you like to add or challenge anything around that as we depart today, Sahana?
I think I just want to end. No, not anything specific to add, Gary, but I want to end this with this incredible space that you're holding over and over in these dialogues. I strongly, and this is my belief, I strongly believe such dialogues are the breadcrumbs of a regenerative future. The dialogue spaces that you hold space for emergence. I didn't know what I was going to say when we started speaking. So I believe what you are doing incredibly, Gary, is creating these spaces of emergence for the future to manifest, even if it's for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, which makes, if I look at it, zoom out and again look at all the dialogues, and if I were to sort of string them together, you have these different visions of the future already existing in people, within communities. So it's not alien, it's not unthought of. And you are creating this incredible magical space for people to share what they can manifest. And I think that's incredible. Literally changing the world one dialogue at a time. That's incredible work. So I can only thank you for that. I'm so grateful you invited me to share mine, and that I could literally co-create this emergent dialogue with you. Thank you, Greg. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for all you're doing, and thanks for. I'd never looked at it that way before. So again, there's always a learning. There's always a learning. I so look forward to speaking again, Sahana. Again, thank
Same
you for
here.
joining us. Do check
Same here.
out Sahana's Linktree. Have a good evening, Sahana. Have a good morning, evening, afternoon, however you're seeing this. And wow, please follow, connect with Sahana, and enjoy the journey, enjoy the exploration.
Thank you.